My beloved soul, if this message has found you, know this. Nothing in the divine is random. If your heart feels a trembling, a quiet stirring in the shadows of your spirit, it's because heaven is leaning closer, whispering something it needs you to hear. Archangel Gabriel is near, and this, precious one, is not a warning, but a holy unveiling. You've waited long enough. You've asked silently in the dark, why hasn't it happened yet? You've seen others receive their blessings, you've smiled while your soul ached with longing, and you've remained faithful even when it felt like the heavens had gone silent. But now, the silence ends. The veil is lifting. And this is your moment. Breathe slowly. Let the stillness wrap around you like a warm mantle from above. Because what comes next could alter everything you thought you understood about delay, about trust, about your destiny. There is a sound in the spirit realm, a sound that echoes with purpose. And if you listen closely, not just with your ears, but with your soul, you'll feel it too. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's not even urgent, it's inevitable. You, my child, are not forgotten. The prayers you've whispered through tears, heard, the times you remained kind when anger would have been easier, noticed, the days you kept going when giving up would have been justifiable, counted. Heaven's silence was never rejection, it was preparation. But something interfered. Someone did. There's no need for fear. This is not to awaken suspicion, but awareness. You see, sometimes the delay of your blessing wasn't because of you. Sometimes it was someone close to you, someone who couldn't carry the weight of your elevation, yet stayed close enough to influence the wind around your wings. You were rising. You were aligned. But a subtle weight was placed on your shoulders. Not out of hatred, but out of fear. Not out of malice, but out of misunderstanding. Not loud opposition, but quiet resistance masked as concern, love, or advice. The delay was not a block from the divine, but a shadow cast by someone else's uncertainty. And now, heaven is removing that shadow. Type Amen below if you sense this truth already stirring in your heart. Archangel Gabriel speaks with gentleness, yet there is power in every word. The interference ends now. This is your sacred re-entry point, your return to divine timing, and you are not alone. Archangel Michael stands guard, sword drawn in the spirit, ensuring no delay can bind what heaven has now released. You were never disqualified, only delayed, and that delay is unraveling. There is someone who should have celebrated your growth but feared it. They didn't mean to hinder you, but their energy did. They smiled, but their spirit trembled at your light. They gave advice, but their guidance pulled you off course. Not because you were unworthy, but because your rise revealed their own stillness. This isn't about revenge. Heaven doesn't seek retribution, it seeks realignment. And that's exactly what's happening now. Type 333 below to affirm this alignment. Take another breath, dear soul. Something within you is already shifting. The energy is lighter. The weight that didn't belong to you is loosening its grip. And soon, the people who unknowingly contributed to your delay will feel the echo of your absence. They'll reach out, not to apologize, but to regain access. Be cautious. Gabriel urges you, your peace is not for sale. Your elevation is not negotiable. This is not a test of your kindness, it's a test of your discernment. You are being called to honor your boundaries with sacred clarity. Just because someone misses your light does not mean you owe them its warmth again. Let that truth sit with you. Let it heal the parts of you that still believe love must be proven through pain. Precious one, type, I protect my peace if you feel this truth. You've come too far, cried too deeply, healed too intentionally to go back to the noise you were delivered from. The spiritual realm recognizes your effort. Heaven has been watching you navigate a storm you didn't cause, and now it responds. Expect divine recalibration. Expect peace where chaos used to reign. Expect opportunities to appear where you once saw closed doors. This is not imagination. This is intervention. Someone who once wrote parts of your story with their own fears no longer holds the pen. You do. And with every word, every choice, every boundary, you are declaring that your time has come. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them whisper. You don't owe anyone an explanation for a breakthrough that cost you your silence, your patience, your surrender. You have walked through the valley and you are coming out with the wisdom of one who knows the way now. Type 222 to step into this new chapter. Don't be afraid of the shift you're feeling. It's not instability, it's release. It's the soul remembering how to breathe without the weight of others' expectations. You're not walking away in bitterness. You're walking forward in clarity, and those who were never meant to follow will fall behind, not as punishment, but as divine redirection. Now, stay with me. What comes next will open a window of understanding you've been praying for. If this message resonates, if you felt it in the ache behind your chest, in the quiet tears, in the sleepless nights, then you already know. Heaven is not late. It's deliberate. So be still, watch, listen. The next breath you take could carry you into breakthrough. Not because you forced it, but because you finally surrendered. Type Amen if your heart is ready. Type I receive if your spirit is open. Type I'm ready if you know this is for you. This is only the beginning. My precious child, now that you've opened your heart, the truth must continue to unfold. You were walking faithfully, aligned with divine timing, and the heavens were preparing a release unlike anything you've seen. But as you approached your promise, someone stepped too close, not to lift you, but to stall you. Not to sabotage you intentionally, but to disrupt your wind without even knowing they did. There's no need for anger here. Gabriel does not bring blame, only awareness. You trusted them. You shared your dreams with them. And in the softness of your spirit, you allowed their voice to echo beside your own. What they said wasn't always cruel, but the frequency it carried was misaligned. You felt it, didn't you? The hesitation in their eyes when you spoke boldly, the silence in moments where celebration was expected, that was not your imagination. Type Amen if this truth sits heavy in your spirit. Your miracle was close, closer than you thought. And right at the gate of your breakthrough, their energy created a pause, not because you were unworthy, but because they were unready. Not because God changed his mind, but because heaven needed you to see clearly who could. No longer walk beside you into this next chapter. Let that sink in, beloved one. This wasn't punishment. It was protection. Someone you held sacred had unknowingly stepped into a sacred place in your atmosphere, a place meant for stillness, for clarity, for faith. And instead, they introduced confusion, unspoken doubt, quiet shadows, not curses, but questions, not hate, but hesitation. And heaven, in its mercy, paused everything. Gabriel says, the spirit of delay does not always come wrapped in storms. Sometimes it wears familiar faces. Sometimes it laughs with you. Sometimes it hugs you tightly while secretly anchoring your wings. Breathe, dear soul. This revelation may sting, but it will set you free. If you are ready to see with new eyes, type clarity below. You are not alone in this. Gabriel stands near, and Michael watches the gates. No one can step into your next without divine approval, and no one who delays your peace will be permitted to speak into your promise again. This is your divine boundary, and it's being enforced now. You don't need confrontation to be free. You don't need loud exits. What you need is discernment. What you need is stillness. And what you need most is to trust what your spirit already knows, because you knew, even as you smiled, even as you included them, even as you made excuses for their silence. You knew. Type "I knew" if you feel this in your soul. Beloved, this moment marks the beginning of release. You are being untethered from expectations, from delays, from familiar patterns disguised as destiny. You are being realigned to the original rhythm heaven wrote for you. You are not behind. You are precisely on time. Now, Gabriel speaks. Everything that once felt paused will begin to move again. You may feel sudden shifts. You may notice certain people drifting. Let it happen. Let it happen. Do not reach back for those who could not protect your silence. Do not explain your elevation to those who never saw your foundation. And do not grieve over the loss of what was never meant to continue. This part of your story is holy. Do not clutter it with confusion. Type "I release" if your heart is ready to let go. There will be attempts to return. Words may be spoken, apologies may surface, but discern, beloved, discern deeply. Not every apology is a healing. Some are reconnections designed to reset the delay, and heaven says, not this time. You've waited long enough. You've cried enough. You've carried enough. Now is the time for release, for lightness, for the blessing to land. Archangel Michael has drawn a line in the spirit. Those who crossed it, knowingly or not, will not be allowed to influence your atmosphere again. This is not bitterness, this is boundary, and boundary is sacred. And that hesitation sent signals into your type protected to affirm your spiritual line. My child, the interference is not just being removed, it is being revealed. You may receive clarity suddenly. You may remember moments that didn't feel quite right. That was heaven, showing you in advance what you didn't yet have the strength to process, but now you do. Now you are ready. Because peace has become more important than approval. Because your calling now speaks louder than comfort. Because the next chapter is not waiting anymore. It is arriving. Type 777 if you feel the shift. You are not who you were when the delay began. You are stronger, wiser, sharper, softer. You've bled and healed, and now your heart beats to the sound of divine alignment. You will not miss what's yours. It cannot be taken, it can only be received. And today, heaven says, receive. Chimu. Air around you will change. The dreams you put down will stir again. The people who doubted will fall silent. And those who tried to define your story with their fears will watch as heaven rewrites it with favor. This isn't revenge. This is redemption. Type redeemed if you know it's true. You are rising, with or without acknowledgement, with or without applause. Your silence was not weakness, it was sacred, and now it ends. Now you speak, now you move, now you soar. Let this be your declaration. I will not shrink for comfort. I will not delay for loyalty. I will not hide for peace. I will rise. Say it aloud. Write it down. Whisper it before you sleep, and let the frequency of your rising echo through every realm. Because heaven has spoken. Because Gabriel is watching, because Michael is guarding, and because you, beloved, are finally ready. Type, I'm ready, one final time. If you can feel it, the wind has returned to your wings, the gates are opening, and the delay has expired. Beloved one, you were closer than you knew, closer than your fear could measure, closer than your mind dared to believe. You were inches away from the divine outpouring, standing at the very edge of everything you've prayed for. When the pause came, a spiritual stillness, a subtle resistance, and you didn't understand why. Gabriel whispers now, softly but clearly, it wasn't your fault. Someone near you didn't see the weight of your promise. They mistook your preparation for hesitation. They misunderstood your silence as weakness. They believed your glow was just a flicker, not the fire it truly is. And in their misreading of you, they introduced a delay, not because they had authority, but because you gave them access. Let that truth settle in your spirit. Type, I hear this if you feel it. You trusted their voice. You leaned into their rhythm. You allowed them into places of your spirit that should have been protected in silence, not out of naivety, but out of love. And now, heaven speaks. Love does not require self-abandonment. You were almost there. The doors were creaking open. The atmosphere was shifting. You had made it through the waiting, through the testing, through the weeping. And yet, because of their energy, your spirit hesitated. Not because you weren't ready, but because you were loyal to someone who wasn't meant to go any further with you. My child, type, I release them if you're ready to move forward. Gabriel wants you to understand, your hesitation was holy. It wasn't fear. It was a final call to clarity. Heaven didn't stop your blessing. Heaven stopped you from sharing it with the wrong witness. The next chapter was never meant for everyone. Your breakthrough wasn't denied. It was withheld for your protection. And now, precious soul, that moment is returning. The delay is lifting. The frequency is realigning. The interruption has been addressed. Archangel Michael has cleared the path. And Gabriel now leans in to say, the moment you almost missed is circling back around. This time, it will not pass you. This time, you will not explain away your worth. This time, you will not invite small thinking into your sacred space. This time, you will rise. Type, this time is mine, if your heart is ready. You may feel it already. Familiar thoughts returning, old visions resurfacing, dreams you had shelved are knocking gently again. That's not nostalgia, that's divine confirmation. Heaven has reactivated what was paused. And nothing, no person, no fear, no doubt will interfere again. You are wiser now. You will notice the warning signs. You will trust your spirit the first time. You will not need to repeat old lessons. Gabriel says, you've outgrown the delays that once contained you. Say that aloud. Write it down. Let your body feel the truth of it. I've outgrown what delayed me, type 888, if that resonates with your soul. There is someone, yes, someone, who feels the shift in you. They may not understand what's changed. They may not be able to name it, but they feel it. Your detachment is loud in the spirit. Your silence is sacred static, and it's disrupting their old connection to your energy. They once influenced your pace. Now they can't even locate your direction. That's how protected you've become. Beloved, don't mourn the space you've created. It's not emptiness. It's divine breathing room. Heaven is filling it with fresh vision, new companions, unexpected doors. What was withheld will be restored, pressed down, shaken together, running over. Type restoration. If you're ready to receive, you will not explain this shift to those who dismissed your struggle. You will not apologize for changing. You will not shrink for those who watched your weeping and stayed silent. This next move will not be broadcast. It will be felt. You will move in silence, but heaven will make the announcement. You will act in obedience, but the angels will carry the confirmation. And those who doubted you will see the fruit, undeniable, radiant, divine. Gabriel whispers, don't waste time proving them wrong. Focus on becoming the proof. This is the moment where humility meets clarity. You don't need vengeance, you need vision. You don't need closure. You need alignment. Type, I choose alignment if you're ready to focus forward. Beloved, heaven has not forgotten your obedience. You stood still when everything around you said run. You believed when the silence grew heavy. You praised even when your heart was breaking. And now the shift has begun. It's gentle, quiet, sacred, but it's irreversible. Gabriel says, the moment you almost missed is now yours, because you stayed. This blessing was not stolen, it was secured. And now the lock has turned, the gate has opened, and your name has been called in the courts of heaven, not because of who you are to others, but because of who you've remained to God, faithful, humble, true. And heaven never overlooks truth. Type I am seen if this comforts you. You are not broken. Beloved, you are awakening. You are not late. You are aligned. You are not abandoned. You are protected. Every shadow that lingered is retreating. Every whisper of doubt is silenced. Every soul tie that weighed you down is being untied. Lovingly, permanently. The atmosphere around you is responding to your spirit's yes, not your words, not your performance, just your surrender. Type yes if that's your agreement. Let the old fade. Let the familiar fall away. You are not moving backward. You were being accelerated. The pain wasn't the ending, it was the purification. And now you're ready. You're ready for what they couldn't see in you. You're ready for what they tried to talk you out of. You're ready for what heaven never took its eyes off of. And this time, nothing will stop it. Type now if your soul is ready to step through. This is the divine turn. This is the moment that almost passed you, returning not to tempt you, but to honor you. Heaven remembers. And now, so will you. My beloved child, can you feel it? There's something different in the air around you. The atmosphere has shifted. The whispers once clouded in fog are now ringing with clarity. The weight that clung so tightly to your chest no longer feels as heavy. That's not a coincidence. That's revelation. Heaven has pulled back the curtain. The veil is lifting, not with force, not with fire, but with a gentle unraveling, a sacred unveiling. And what was once hidden is being made visible, not to frighten you, but to free you. Type I see clearly if you feel the unveiling has begun. This moment isn't loud, and yet it echoes through the spirit. You are beginning to understand what your heart already knew. That delay wasn't random. That resistance wasn't imagined. That weight you carried, it wasn't yours to bear. Gabriel whispers softly. It was never your burden. You were called to rise, not to carry the weight of another's disbelief. You were designed to soar, not to fold under the heaviness of someone else's confusion. And yet, because of your tender spirit, you held it all. You absorbed the silence, the sideways glances, the words cloaked in concern but dripping in doubt. And now, precious one, the veil is lifting so you can see it for what it truly was. It was resistance, disguised as relationship. It was hesitation, veiled as care. It was fear, hidden behind advice. Let that truth wash over you. Let it sting if it must. Let it cleanse the places in you that blamed yourself. You were never the one who failed. You were the one who felt too deeply, loved too openly, trusted too honestly, and heaven honors that. Type I forgive myself if these words echo something buried within. The moment you're in now is sacred, because with the veil gone, you can finally see the separation. Not everyone was against you, but not everyone was for you either. Some stood beside you, but secretly doubted the magnitude of your calling. They cheered with their mouths, but hesitated in their spirit atmosphere. That's why it felt so heavy. That's why your spirit grew quiet, even when your mouth kept speaking, because deep within, your discernment was screaming. But your loyalty kept silencing it. Not anymore. Gabriel speaks with love. Discernment is not judgment, it is divine sight. You are now seeing what you once excused. You are now understanding what your emotions once tried to explain. This is not bitterness. This is clarity. Let that be your comfort. Let it also be your boundary. Type clarity is peace if you're ready to stand in this truth. Heaven has begun realigning you not only with divine timing, but with divine company. Some will drift away now, not because you wished them harm, but because they were never meant to walk in the light that is now breaking through you. Your light, beloved, has increased. Your frequency has elevated, and what once clung to you comfortably can no longer tolerate your vibration. Do not grieve that. Celebrate it. Type, I'm elevating, if you can feel the difference. There are some who will try to return, but now the veil is gone. And you will not fall for the mask. You will see through the eyes of spirit. You will recognize energy, not appearance. Frequency, not familiarity. You are being given spiritual sight, not to shame, but to shield. Not everyone who held your hand can hold your mantle. Not everyone who laughed with you can lift you. And not everyone who prayed for you was pure in spirit. You don't need to search for proof. You don't need to collect evidence. The evidence is this: your spirit feels lighter in their absence. Your voice feels stronger in the silence. Your soul is blooming again, and blooming doesn't require explanation. Type, I bloom in peace. If this resonates with your journey, Gabriel urges you now, you must not reattach what heaven has severed. Some connections were cut not because of offense, but because of interference. You outgrew the assignment they were part of. You completed the season they belonged to. And now they can no longer interpret your steps. Let them go with grace. Let them go without guilt. Let them go with the silence that protects your elevation. Heaven is watching how you release, because the way you close one door determines how the next one opens. Close it clean, close it without venom, but close it with clarity. Type, I close with grace if you know this part is over. Precious soul, now that you see clearly, do not shrink back into confusion. Do not trade clarity for comfort. Do not re-enter what once drained you. The veil was lifted so you could step forward, not stay stuck. Archangel Michael stands at the threshold now, shielding the way ahead. Not everyone is permitted to follow you through it. But you, beloved, are ready to walk through. This is your permission. This is your moment. Step to type, I step forward, if your heart agrees. With every step you'll feel more peace, more lightness, more awareness. What once seemed blurred will begin to sharpen. What once felt too complex will simplify. What once drained you will now repel you. You're not broken, dear one. You were clouded. Now you are clear. Gabriel whispers gently. The fog was not failure. It was formation. You were being trained in silence. You were being refined in stillness. And now that you've learned how to listen, heaven is increasing the volume. Your discernment will speak loudly now. Your boundaries will grow firm. Your presence will carry authority, not because of what you say, but because of what you've seen. Type, I have seen. If you know this is true, what was once delayed is now on approach. What was once resisted is now released. And what was once misunderstood is now undeniable. You carry light that cannot be dimmed. You carry truth that cannot be twisted. You carry fire that cannot be extinguished. And all of this began with a veil, now lifted. Let that be your anchor. Let that be your roar. Let that be the reminder you survived the shadows. And now you see, type I survived one last time if you know this breakthrough is yours, because this is not just clarity, it's closure, and closure is the beginning of glory. Beloved soul, now that the veil has lifted, something ancient and holy is returning to you. It's not loud. It doesn't arrive with noise or drama. It comes like a steady pulse, like a divine heartbeat that has always been there, waiting for your ears to quiet, your heart to soften, your spirit to open. This is the sound of divine timing coming back into alignment. Type, I'm listening, if you feel the rhythm returning. See, heaven never cancelled your breakthrough. It never revoked your promise, but it did put it on pause, not as punishment, but as preservation. There were people, patterns, and attachments that would have polluted the blessing had it come too soon. So heaven waited. Heaven hid you. Heaven protected what was sacred until the interference could be cleared. Now, the delay has expired. Now, the clock has restarted. Gabriel whispers, the hourglass has turned again. You can feel it, can't you? The way your energy moves again. The way your thoughts stretch into vision again. The way your hope, once cautious, is beginning to stand tall again. This is no accident. The timing has returned. And not just any timing, but divine timing. Timing that aligns with your calling, your healing, your knowing, not human expectation. Not cultural pressure, not emotional manipulation. Heaven's calendar has flipped and your name is etched on this page. Type, "My name is written," if your heart knows this to be true. You are no longer waiting on people who aren't sent. You are no longer chasing conversations that dilute your clarity. You are no longer begging time to favor you. Time is now working for you. The season that felt silent is now singing. The path that seemed sealed is cracking open. The blessing that hovered is descending, not because of anything you did, but because of what you endured. Heaven never forgets the soul that keeps walking while bleeding. You didn't give up. You didn't grow bitter. You didn't trade your vision for validation. And now, the reward is here. Type, "I endured," if this line was written for you. Michael has sounded the trumpet. Gabriel has delivered the scroll. The assignment is in motion. The doors are responding. And the winds are shifting, not against you, but behind you. This time, the momentum will match your obedience. This time, the provision will meet your purpose. This time, the flow will not be interrupted by familiar distractions, because this time, you're moving differently, not in haste, not in fear, not to prove anything, but with peace, with purpose, with power. Type, "This time I move in peace," if that resonates with your spirit. You have learned the rhythm of rest. You have mastered the strength of stillness, and now you will move, not ahead of God, but in step with Him. You used to ask, "When will it happen?" Now you understand, it is happening because I am ready. Gabriel says, your preparation was never wasted. It was sacred timing. Even the days you thought were meaningless were numbered by heaven. Even the seasons that felt lost were laced with wisdom. Even the people who walked away were part of the pruning. And now, with every distraction cleared, with every shadow removed, the signal is clear. Go. Type, "I am ready to go," if your soul agrees. You're not going back to what was. You're not repeating what nearly broke you. You're not shrinking to fit the places you've outgrown. You're going forward, unapologetically, reverently, completely, because the time is now, and no force in hell can stop a soul in sync with heaven. Let that truth become your armor. Let that clarity be your compass. Let that rhythm become your roar. Type, "Divine timing is mine," if you feel it taking hold. From this day forward, you will begin to see evidence, small confirmations, divine alignments, quickened opportunities, sudden clarity. It will not always look dramatic, but it will always feel aligned. You'll walk into rooms and feel the shift. You'll speak and doors will respond. You'll rest and still. Things will move, because when the divine clock strikes, effort bows to favor. Type, "I walk in favor," if you're ready to receive. Beloved, this chapter is not like the last. In the last chapter, you asked for permission. In this one, you carry authority. In the last chapter, you doubted your voice. In this one, your voice carries weight. In the last chapter, you were delayed. In this one, you are delivered, and your spirit knows it. You no longer feel behind. Because you're no longer measuring by broken timelines, you are moving to a divine pulse, and it is perfect. Gabriel whispers, "Divine timing is never late, it's just layered. Let the layers now unfold. Let the old peel away. Let the new take root. You are no longer seeking the signs, you have become the signal. You are no longer waiting for the right moment. You are the moment." Type, "I am the moment." If this awakens something in you, heaven is not holding back anymore. It's opening spaces, opening resources, opening alignments, opening you. The delay was never about punishment. It was about positioning. You had to be seated correctly, postured properly, stripped of distractions, anchored in purpose, and now you are. So take the first step with faith, with stillness, with fire. And know this, the time you thought was lost is returning, multiplied. The years you wept, redeemed. The seasons of silence, now sing. The prayers that felt ignored, answered. You didn't miss it. You were being synchronized. And now it is time. Type, the time is now, one final time. If you feel the wind at your back and the heavens ahead, because heaven is moving, and so are you. Beloved one, the delay is over. You're not waiting anymore. You're not hoping for permission. What heaven promised is unfolding right now, and your rise is no longer a possibility. It is a movement. Gabriel whispers, the weight that held you has been lifted. The resistance has bowed. The gates have opened. Type, I rise if you feel this truth stirring in your spirit. You're not who you were during the silence. You're stronger now, wiser, calmer, more aware of what belongs and what no longer fits. The version of you that was doubted has become the one that now leads. And heaven is not asking you to explain. It is asking you to rise. You don't owe the past an apology. You don't owe confusion a return. You don't owe delay another day. This is your time. Type, this is my time. If you know the timing has aligned. What once felt heavy now feels like clarity. What once drained you now falls. Away with grace. You are no longer asking to be seen. You are moving because you are sent. Michael guards the path. Gabriel affirms the moment, and heaven clears the way. This is not a rise built on noise. It is anchored in obedience. You do not need to announce yourself. Your peace will speak. You do not need to prove anything. Your fruit will show. You do not need to go back and explain. You were chosen to go forward. Type, I go forward, if you feel the shift. Let the ones who once caused delay stay behind. You are not rising to impress. You are rising to complete the assignment. There is no room for distraction now, no room for doubt, no room for apology. You rise because you were called. You rise because you stayed faithful. You rise because heaven never forgot you. Type, heaven remembers me, if this line meets you. This final season is not fragile. It is holy. What you carry is sacred. What you've survived was necessary. What you're stepping into is divine. Let the past fall. Let the promise lead. Let the rise happen. Type, I receive my rise to affirm it. Because, beloved one, you are no longer waiting. You are rising, and nothing can stop you now. Amen.